We spend hours debating tournaments, we rank managers, goalkeepers, kits, but nobody ever stops to ask, what about the ball? The actual object every single moment of the tournament depends on. Because World Cup balls are more than equipment. They're time capsules. They carry the weight of history, the fingerprints of culture, and transport us back in time whenever we see them. So today, we're not just ranking every World Cup ball from 1990 to 2022, we're giving each one a category to win, and a few more. Let's get into it. We start with beauty, and nothing comes close to the FIFA Nova from 2002. Before Japan and South Korea, World Cup balls had barely changed aesthetically in 2 decades. The tango design had ruled since 1978, and while iconic, it had become comfortable, predictable. Adidas tore all of that up. The FIFA Nova's golden trigon shapes drew from the Japanese Tomo symbol, and those red streaks cutting through the panels were calligraphy brushstrokes, a direct tribute to East Asian artistic tradition. It was the first World Cup ball since 1978 to break from the tango mold, and it was also the last hand-stitched ball in World Cup history. 11 internal layers at just 3 mm thick. The fact that it became the backdrop to Ronaldo's redemption, 8 goals, a 5th world title for Brazil, only deepened its mythology. Close behind sits the Brazuca from 2014, which managed to be joyful without being chaotic. The ribbon panel design drew from the Fita do Senhor do Bonfim da Bahia, Brazil's traditional wish bracelets, and the blue, orange and green popped brilliantly on any surface. Over 600 world-class players tested it across 2.5 years. Iker Casillas called it a stunning design that feels inspired by Brazil. The tricolor from 1998 also earns its mention here, the first colored World Cup ball ever. Its cockerel motifs and French tricolor so elegantly balanced that many still consider it the most beautiful Adidas ball ever produced. From beauty to speed, the Aurela from 2022 takes the title for fastest World Cup ball ever made. Adidas designed its 20-panel structure to cut drag and sustain pace through the full arc of every pass and shot. But the real story was inside. A suspension system at the heart of the ball housed a 500 Hz inertial measurement unit, a motion sensor firing data 500 times per second to video match officials. For the first time, VAR could access live ball contact data, which is precisely how FIFA confirmed that Ronaldo did not touch Portugal's opening goal against Uruguay. Fast and accurate. No previous World Cup ball could claim both. The Teamgeist from 2006 came second. Its 14-panel construction was the smoothest sphere Adidas had ever made, and that smoothness meant rockets. Joe Cole's volley against Sweden, Philipp Lahm's opener, Steven Gerrard's thunderbolts. Germany 2006 was practically a long-range shooting competition. Lastly, the Jabulani was terrifyingly fast. The problem was nobody knew exactly where it was going. Its speed became part of the controversy, but nobody can deny it moved through the air at incredible pace. Speaking of controversy, the most controversial ball is none other than the Jabulani. Nothing in the history of World Cup balls comes close to the controversy it generated. Before a single ball was kicked in South Africa, the complaints were already flying. Julio Cesar called it horrible, like one of those you buy in the supermarket. Buffon said it was absolutely inadequate and called it shameful to play such an important competition with it. David James said, "The ball is dreadful, it's horrible." 8 bonded panels were supposed to create a perfect sphere. Instead, the reduced seam area meant the ball moved through the air with almost no predictable trajectory. It knuckled, it dipped, it swerved on free kicks, struck with no spin at all, which was a nightmare for goalkeepers, and the only player who seemed to enjoy it was Diego Forlan. The FIFA Nova caused murmurs before it too. Goalkeepers genuinely struggled with its lightweight flight, but nothing on this scale. Lastly, in this category, the Teamgeist was generally praised, but it also sparked concerns about where football technology was heading. Some goalkeepers argued that the near-perfect spherical design gave shooters an unfair advantage, especially from distance. The other category the Jabulani owns is up next, as it is not only the most iconic World Cup ball ever, but arguably the most iconic football period. Ask any casual football fan to name a World Cup ball, and there's a strong chance Jabulani is the first word out of their mouth. Its burst of South African colour was everywhere in 2010, and combined with the chaos it generated on the pitch, it burned itself into the collective memory permanently. The FIFA Nova runs it close. Very few balls are recognizable by silhouette alone, but the FIFA Nova is one of them, and the tricolour changed football aesthetics forever. Every colored World Cup ball that followed owes something to the moment Adidas first put color on a match ball. Every ball deserves its honest moment though, which means we have to talk about the Telstar 18 from 2018 and its place as the ugliest ball of the lot. It wasn't an offensive design, it was just incomplete looking. The idea of modernizing the iconic 1970 Telstar was smart in theory, but the pixelated panels felt more like you could have made it using clip art on Microsoft Word. It actually deflated twice during early group matches, once in France versus Australia, again in Uruguay versus Saudi Arabia, which didn't help. The 1994 Questra's space-themed graphics were innovative, but they haven't aged particularly well. The design often looks like something you can pick up at any store today. The Teamgeist also has its critics here, elegant in a stripped-back way, but alongside the Favornova, Brazuca and Tricolore, it looked stark and short on personality. For the luckiest ball, the Brazuca wins comfortably. The 2014 tournament produced 171 goals, equaling the record for the 64-game format. Attackers loved the flight consistency, and it showed. Germany scored 7 against Brazil. James Rodriguez scored that volley. It was a festival of attacking football. The Favornova gave attackers 161 goals in 2002, while the Teamgeist helped produce 147 across Germany 2006, with some of the greatest long-range strikes the tournament has ever seen. The least fortunate ball sits at the other end. The Etrusco Unico from 1990 presided over just 115 goals across 52 matches, a record low average of 2.21 goals per game that still stands today. Italy 1990 was defined by tactical suffocation and penalty shootouts. The Etrusco Unico became the symbol of that. Despite introducing new technology, the Questra was still part of an era where international football remained relatively conservative. The tournament wasn't a goal fest, leaving the ball somewhat overshadowed, and the Jubilani, despite all the fanfare, did not result in a tournament that was goals galore. But Etrusco Unico deserves serious respect in another category because, as a piece of design storytelling, it's the most meaningful World Cup ball of the modern era. The name references the Etruscan civilization that shaped northern and central Italy from around 800 BC. 3 lion heads decorate each of the 20 tango triads, a direct reference to Etruscan artwork and iconography. The word Etrusco on the ball is written in a font mimicking the ancient Etruscan alphabet. This wasn't a marketing exercise, it was Italian culture on a football. The Jabulani runs it close. Jabulani means to celebrate in Zulu. The design carried the significance of an entire continent hosting its first World Cup. The tricolor completes this conversation. Michel Platini personally instructed Adidas to incorporate French industrial imagery, and the cockerel's red crest was deliberately shaped to echo the 3 Adidas stripes. Every detail considered. The last category is the most personal, the fan favorite. The Brazuca is the closest thing football has to a universally beloved match ball. Players trusted it. The name was chosen by over 1 million Brazilian fans through a public vote. And when Julio Cesar, the same man who called the Jabulani a supermarket ball, was asked about the Brazuca ahead of 2014, he said simply, "The ball is a good one. I think the outfield players are going to like it too." From the goalkeeper who despised the Jabulani most, that mattered. The tricolor holds enormous nostalgia for an entire generation, tied to Zidane's 2 headers in the final, Roberto Carlos's impossible free kick, France's maiden world title. The Favornova remains a cult object. Collectors still seek it out. But the Jabulani gets the last word because it earned it. Diego Forlan requested a supply from Adidas 3 months before the tournament, trained constantly with it while everyone else complained, then produced the greatest individual performance of the whole competition. He won the golden ball, and the Jabulani was his weapon. Then there was Maiken's goal against North Korea, that ludicrous, barely angled drive from the byline that may or may not have been intentional, and the Jabulani just went in. For professionals, it was a nightmare. For everyone watching, it was completely unforgettable. Where do you think the Trionda is going to rank once this year's tournament comes to an end? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to turn on post notifications so that you never miss out on any new videos. See you next time. Bye.